Hey, what's up guys? Gons here for the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. The Ohio State University published an article titled, "When you take acetaminophen, you don't feel others' pain as much. The popular painkiller reduces empathy, study finds." And basically, acetaminophen is the stuff in Tylenol. It's the painkiller in Tylenol. They found that when people took acetaminophen and they learned about the misfortune of others, they suggested that these individuals experienced less pain and suffering as those who were not on acetaminophen. Dominique Mishkowski, who was the co-author of the study and a former PhD student at Ohio State, said, quote, "Acetaminophen can reduce empathy as well as serve as a painkiller." So obviously, there's an emotional reaction to things like acetaminophen, over-the-counter stuff, painkillers. And this speaks into, I think, a couple different things. First off, obviously, when it comes to this sort of thing, we remember the word Pharmekeia in the Bible, especially highlighted in Revelation 9:21, but more specifically in Revelation 18:23, where it talks about Pharmekeia, translated sorcery, is used to deceive the nations. But it also reminds me of a quote that was written by Neil Postman in a foreword in his book called "Amusing Ourselves to Death, Public Discourse in the Age of Show Business." He basically says that Aldous Huxley was correct in that the Brave New World scenario, where the inflicting of pleasure is the control system, not so much pain and fear as Orwell in 1984 was constructed. In my opinion, it's a little bit of both. I think both are being utilized, but I get his point in Western civilization especially, and he compares the soma in Brave New World to television, which is interesting, but similar ideas here in Brave New World, where a pill is taken to control the emotions and pleasure centers of the brain. And this is also something that they're looking into in the military. There are tons of articles out there that talk about DARPA having memory boosting techniques and other types of biological and genetically modified substances that would alter or change the emotional centers of the brain to be able to cope with things like war. These things are out there, so I think there's some of that being prepped here in terms of this sort of research coming out, but also in terms of getting the nations hooked on pills, and not just in the sense of medication in the pharmaceutical sense, although obviously that is hugely controlled, and there's obviously documentaries and stuff on that. There's a movement of cognitive enhancers that you can just buy at stores, and they claim to boost focus and productivity. And according to certain reports, these cognitive enhancers are still in the infancy stage. We really don't know too much about them and how they affect people, but certain people swear by it. And, it's a big thing in the entrepreneurial world and something that, you see being sold by different outlets. And it's all sort of converging to what I believe is the mark of the beast. Now, obviously, there's a long way to go between taking a pill and taking a mark, but essentially, this is just another strand. This is another thread in the fabric of deception that's being weaved here. And what we're seeing, I think, is a move towards these sort of brain controlling or emotion controlling pills and, things like Tylenol. People may abuse Tylenol now more than ever to try to numb their emotions and things like that. But at the same time, there's other counter drugs that might hit the market. Oh, this stuff really makes you feel good, and et cetera, et cetera. We're going to see, I think, a lot more of that in the pharmaceutical world, as well as sort of the rogue market right now with the cognitive enhancers as they begin to merge and, as things become more commonplace. This is actually really happening. And again, it's another one of those threads that's right in front of us. I'm not saying cognitive enhancers themselves are bad or anything, but just consider the implications here in the bigger picture of things. So let me know your thoughts. Have an awesome day, guys. God bless.